Un canapé, a sofa, is masculine, and we do not have a feminine version of that. Bonjour à tous, j'espère que vous allez bien. In this video, we are going to go through the rules of masculine and feminine in French. So let's start. First, let's see some rules that are very good to know. French has two genders, masculine and feminine. Despite what you can find or read online, there are no rules to help you guess the gender of nouns in French. For example, you can read that feminine words end in the letter E and masculine ones end in another letter. Well, this is not right. Let's see some examples. Une voiture is feminine, but un verre is masculine, and both end in a E. Or, un pain is masculine and une main is feminine, and both end in a consonant. Another rule you can find online is the one saying that if an object is more used by men, it is more likely to be masculine, and if it is more used by women, it will be feminine. Here again, this is not right. Let's see some examples. Une voiture, a car, is feminine. Une barbe, a beard, is feminine too. But un rouge à lèvres, a lipstick, is masculine, and un mascara, a mascara, is masculine too. As you can see, there are no shortcuts here. This means that every time you learn a new word, it is important to learn the article in front of it, either le, la, un, or une. As this is what articles are for, they tell us the gender and numeral of nouns. This is how French people learn about genders of nouns at school. We do not learn table to mean table, but une table or la table. Same for chien, dog. We learn le chien or un chien. Now, you may think that it will take ages to learn the genders of words and you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And actually, it is not completely wrong. You are going to get some right and some wrong. There are so many words that it is normal to make mistakes with genders. But just remember that it won't affect the understanding. If you say un table instead of une table, we will still understand it is a table. Just remember that French speakers are just ahead of you because we started learning about genders at a young age. But it doesn't mean that we are no longer learning about genders. New words are regularly added to the language and we have to learn their genders. Also, do not assume that French speakers make no mistakes with genders. Words starting with an H or a vowel can be tricky to guess the gender if we don't already know it. So you have to accept you are going to make mistakes, and only with time this mistake will become less and less frequent. Before we have a look at the type of nouns we have in the language, let's mention that in French, masculine and feminine applies to people, jobs, some animals, objects or things. So, to pretty much everything around us. In French, we have nouns with one gender. What I mean here is that some nouns will either be masculine or feminine and the opposite gender doesn't exist. For example, objects have one gender. Une table, a table, is feminine, and we do not have a masculine table. Or, un canapé, a sofa, is masculine, and we do not have a feminine version of that. Some animals also have one gender in French. This may sound very bizarre. Animals like birds, fish, bugs, reptiles, and others only exist with one gender. It doesn't mean that the opposite sex doesn't exist in nature. It only means that the animal will either be referred as masculine or feminine, but not both. Let's see some examples. Un oiseau, a bird, is masculine. Of course, there are female birds too. But both male and female birds in French will be referred to as masculine. Un oiseau. Une tortue, a turtle, is feminine. And of course, there are male turtles too. but both male and female turtles in French will be referred to as feminine. Une tortue. The reason for that is that it is much easier this way. Because if we look at two turtles, one male and one female, I don't know you, but I won't be able to tell you which one is the male and which one is the female. Same for a bird or a lizard, for example. We also have nouns with both genders. What I mean here is one noun will be used to refer to both masculine and feminine. The spelling of that word and its pronunciation will be the same for feminine and for masculine. Some of these words are related to people and jobs. For example, un enfant and une enfant, a child. Un photographe and une photographe, a photographer. Un juge and une juge, a judge. We also have some nouns with a different form for masculine and feminine. Some nouns will have a different ending for feminine and for masculine. Most of these words can be found in the vocabulary of jobs or animals, like mammals. For example, un chanteur and une chanteuse, or un lion and une lionne. And finally, we have some nouns that have a completely different form for feminine and masculine. This means that the masculine and the feminine will be two completely different words. You can find a lot of them in the vocabulary of the family. For example, la sœur et le frère, or la tante et l'oncle. Now, before we finish this lesson, we must mention that in French the masculine is stronger. So when the noun has two genders, every time we want to refer to the noun in general, we will use the masculine. For example, if I want to refer to a gardener in general, I will use the masculine form, un jardinier. That's it for the rules about masculine and feminine. I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. À bientôt!